afternoon and welcome to this. It is the second in a series of political candidate forums in advance of Florida's August 18th primary election. Many of you at home might be familiar with our forums in the past, but this year we are bigger and better than we've ever been before. This time our series is a cooperative production between the Capital Region News Collaborative as well as the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee. Our candidates today joining us are running for the position of Tallahassee City Commission Seat 5. I'm Jacob Murphy from WCTV, and I'm joined by William Hatfield from the Tallahassee Democrat, as well as Danielle Irwin from the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee. We'll be questioning today's candidates on various topics of interest to the voting public.
We will have several more forums over the next 2 weeks, and other journalists from the Capital Region News Collaborative will be rotating through these seats to ask the questions. In addition to the Tallahassee Democrat and WCTV, you'll also see folks from WFSU, Tallahassee Reports, and WTXL on this stage, and the Capital Outlook as well. The collaborative is committed to providing deeper, community-centered reporting on local issues. You can learn more about the collaborative at cfnf.org/CRNC. The candidates for today's race are from Tallahassee City Commission Seat 5. They're currently sitting left to right in alphabetical order. We have Tiffany Hill, Dot Inman Johnson, and incumbent Diane Williams Cox.
A reminder for those watching us on social media, please hit the share button and help all your friends see today's discussion live. For those at home, here's how the forums will work. We'll rotate which candidates get to answer first. We do have a lot of questions, so we're going to ask the candidates to keep their answers to about 45 seconds, sometimes shorter for follow-ups. We will keep time. We have a bell, which we will ding when your time is up. Candidates, you don't have to come to a dead stop right then, but please finish your sentence and we'll move on. We will also have a rapid-fire lightning round of questions with shorter answers later in the broadcast. Any questions before we begin? Then let's jump in with the first question.
All right. And we're going to start with kind of a general question. What kind of leadership do you believe city government needs right now? And how do you embody that? And you have 1 minute as an opener. Tiffany Hill, you'll start us out.
Hi, thank you so much for that question. I am Tiffany Hill, retired Army veteran from Tallahassee, and I am running for Tallahassee City Commission Seat 5. And I believe that the city, people are wanting city government that actually listens to what they're saying. They're sick and tired of not being heard. And they want to know that they are being included in the services that and decisions that the city has here, and to include having the city be accountable. A lot of people have lost trust in the city, and they want common sense results.
Thank you. Dot Inman Johnson, you're up next.
The citizens want a government that works cooperatively together, where there are not divisions, and a leader who knows how to find common ground between all 5 commissioners.
Thank you. Diane Williams Cox.
Thank you for that question. What I've found in my research is that this city wants to be a unified city. We don't enjoy being divisive, but we also know that we must operate so that folks get what they need when they need it. This is a very diverse city. We try to be equitable, and we also try to be inclusive. So what we want, I believe the citizens want, I learned this from talking with them and meeting with them, they want a city that is unified and meeting the needs of the residents.
Thank you. So we have a follow-up in that regards. Dot Inman Johnson, what keeps you up at night about the state of the city right now, and how will you tackle it? 45 seconds.
The things that concern me are the people who elect our city commissioners are put second all the time, that the city commissioners tend to act in their own behalf and an example of that is the fact that when citizens come to speak at city commission meetings, they are given 3 minutes. Their 3 minutes are often interrupted, and they are treated dismissively. This is not the way government should treat the people they ask to elect them.
Diane Williams-Cox, same question. What keeps you up at night about the state of the city?
Knowing that there's so much more work to be done and being able to get that work done in a timely manner. I am a 24/7 commissioner. I get text messages and calls throughout the night, and those calls interrupt my rest so that I can get busy on making sure that residents get a timely response on the needs that they have. Public safety is our #1 priority, and housing and quality of life are our other priorities. Those are the things that keep me up at night, making sure our residents and those who visit here are safe and that those who live here have housing.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, close us out.
Yes. So for me, what keeps me up at night is also getting phone calls, and I'm not even in the seat at the moment. So I am constantly getting calls about concerns that they have in the community, residents have in the community. I am getting asked about my feelings in reference to the 3-2 split of the votes. I am getting just more invites to community events so that I can speak and hear the voices of the residents in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, what's the biggest difference between you and your opponents? 30 seconds.
The biggest difference I see between us is that I have a record that I'm actually working on. For the past 8 years, I have worked to do nothing but move our city forward. I have a record, and I'm not perfect, but the record that I've created, I stand on that because we have been not chasing headlines, but we'll be getting results in our community. So I stand on that record of the past 8 years. We have seen tremendous growth and changes in our city that deals with the diversity, equity, and inclusion in our city. That I believe is a difference.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Well, for me, I am born and raised right here in Tallahassee. I have been raised up by a leader in the community, so I learned a lot, and I've experienced a lot being from low-income housing. I have attended many city commission meetings, and so I have an understanding of how things normally, the impression of that decisions that have been made have been like premeditated. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Donna Inman Johnson.
First of all, I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, during a segregated era. Grew up with a coal miner dad and domestic housekeeper mom. And I know what poverty is like. That drives my commitment for what I've done throughout my career as a teacher for 28 years, as 8 years on the city commission and as mayor, and in my work as an executive director of one of the largest nonprofits serving the poor.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to one of the biggest issues of our times, and Jacob Murphy's going to tackle that one.
Right, we'll talk about a number of issues making headlines at City Hall. This one making plenty of headlines at the state capitol down the street. This November, voters will decide on a proposal to significantly expand Florida's homestead exemption, which of course would mean millions less in property tax revenue for the city. If this happens, how would you look to preserve vital city services? And for this question, which we're going to give you 45 seconds for, we'll start with Tiffany Hill.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Well, for me, as far as the property taxes go, I think my first duty will be to look at the budget. Basically, look at the budget and see what programs or even what positions that we may have to adjust salaries or, whatever we need to preserve the recreation, the services that we have. so to protect our residents, whatever we have to do in that sense, we do need to really look at the budget and the departments within the city to make adjustments.
Thank you. Donovan Johnson, 45 seconds.
There's a real difference between the way the two local governments are dealing with this issue. The county has already identified $71 million that they may need to come up with to address this problem if this issue passes. The city in its budget session last week didn't even provide detailed information on the pros and cons of what's happening with finances in city government and how they plan to address it. And it was supposed to be a public hearing, but the public had no information to respond to. And they just need to do a better job of preparing the public on how to vote on that measure and how voting for it may be like stealing from Peter to pay Paul.
Thank you.
Because they will have greater fees that they will have to pay if that passes.
Thank you. And Diane Williams-Cox, 45 seconds for your response.
Thank you. The city of Tallahassee is already being very proactive in this regard. As you may have heard, it did make the news. We implemented a volunteer separation agreement where individuals could choose to take a payout and leave. That allowed us to reduce our staff by 5%. The general fund is where those property taxes come from in the city budget. But we also have other revenue generating entities that will continue our services. We are educating our public, working with the Florida League of Cities, which I sit on the board of directors to represent the city of Tallahassee. We are working to educate our citizens on what it would mean if that property tax referendum passes.
All right, thank you. I have a couple follow-ups under the same topic, and we'll start with Donovan Johnson for this one. 15 seconds for your answer, please. What is one area you would protect at all costs as you look at some of these difficult budget decisions?
I didn't hear the last part.
What is one area you would protect at all costs of the city government?
One area I would protect at all costs would be public safety.
All right, thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, 15 seconds for your answer.
I would also want to protect public safety because we want to make sure that everyone who comes here is safe and feels safe no matter what part of town they're in.
All right, and Tiffany Hill?
Yes, public safety is a big issue.
All right, and a follow-up to that follow-up, what is one area you would maybe go to first to provide some savings? One area of the city government you could find some savings at, and we'll start with Diane Williams-Cox, 15 seconds for that answer.
One of the areas that we're not making promises, but what we've already done is look at our workforce and allow our workforce to decide whether they wanted to remain employed with the city of Tallahassee or take the buyout and go some other places. And individuals took that. They decided to go back to school or do other things with that payout.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, one area you could find savings in?
One area I think I will find savings in is some of the pay.
All right, and Donovan Johnson, your answer?
I don't know how the buyout agreement saves money because they are paying big bonuses for people to retire early. I would look at the high pays of the executive staff.
Thank you.
We'll move on to economic development. And for this question, Tiffany Hill will be starting with you. There seems to be a disconnect when assessing Tallahassee's economy right now, even between the Office of Economic Vitality and the State Chamber of Commerce on whether we are gaining or losing jobs. How do you assess the local economy? What's working and what isn't? 1 minute.
Well, as I see is that, I see some of the same business owners getting funded, and I feel like that there is not a fair share for other business owners to have an opportunity. I think that Tallahassee needs to bring in more new businesses that can provide a livable wage, and also that they can be respectful of our environment as well. But we also need to support our local businesses here in providing funding for them to be able to provide livable wages for our residents here in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Dr. Inman Johnson?
Please repeat the question.
Sure. How do you assess the local economy? What is working and what isn't? You have 1 minute.
With our economy, we need to look at what's working in other capital cities, what kind of industry they are able to attract with in a capital where much of the property is off the property rolls and where the biggest resource is education and government. I would support any industry that was clean, that supported our community and provided livable wage jobs.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, same to you.
My assessment of our economic situation is that our city is growing. We are a government town. We are a town where we have 2 major universities. We have much of our much of our property off the tax roll because of the government buildings. We have to consider that we are a government student town, and our economy is going to grow based on what we do to spur that growth. And we are doing that with the Office of Economic Vitality. But we welcome partners, the Chamber and others, to not just tell us what is and is not happening, but get in and roll up your sleeves and help us make it happen here in the city of Tallahassee.
Thank you. Dr. Inman Johnson, we'll begin with you on this one. Are current incentives for business recruitment, either through Blueprint or the Office of Economic Vitality, delivering a return for taxpayers? What would you change? 30 seconds.
Incentives.
Business incentives.
I am in favor of incentives that attract new business that also will help existing businesses that are in town, that will provide jobs and support for those businesses staying afloat and provide for the needs of the population here in the community.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
What I would change would be to continue to do the work that we're doing, but to provide additional information to those who may not fully understand what this work is. We have issues with folks not understanding the cost of things and how the price keeps rising, and so projects begin to grow. We don't know what those projects are going to cost until we're actually doing them. And so having that understanding, that education to help folks understand that there's some things that we cannot control because of what's happening in the world today, that we would need to continue to educate folks on how Blueprint works and what it is.
Tiffany Hill, 30 seconds to you.
Yes, can you please repeat that question?
Are current incentives for business recruitment delivering a return for taxpayers? What would you change?
Well, I believe in incentives. I believe that people should be able to provide some type of incentive for those that they want to hire, you know, in reference to, like, we can look at healthcare, we can look at different avenues as far as like incentives go.
Okay, thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, we're going to start with you on this one. Another follow-up. Given that a new state law, Senate Bill 1134, will prohibit counties and cities from funding, promoting, or taking official action as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion, how can Tallahassee government support diversity in our small business community and events space? 30 seconds.
Thank you. I think that what we can do is we have to transition. We have to transition from the labels that we may have been previously using to calling them small businesses and being able to support them in that way. I actually went over and advocated against this bill, but it passed anyway. So we're going to do our best to support those businesses.
Tiffany Hill, 30 seconds.
Yes, so in reference to the anti-DEI, I'm really against that. And so I think that we can find avenues to support businesses in reference to DEI efforts. So I'm willing to put it on the line to support those that are with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you. Dr. Inman Johnson.
First of all, I don't think DEI is a bad thing. We've always tried to be inclusive in what we do in local government, whether it's for business or for services or for any work that we're doing with the public. And I am totally opposed to the bill.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, we'll start with you on this one. Okay. What can you do as a commissioner to make our airport more competitive and bring in carriers and bring down ticket prices? 45 seconds.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that question. As a person who do like to travel, I feel that we need to appeal to other carriers to come in, because there are some really great carriers out there, but we need to be able to appeal to them. We need to be able to offer any type of incentive to get them in so that we can have classes of residents that are able to afford tickets. You know, flying out of Tallahassee is very expensive. It is very expensive, and especially during legislative time. So we need to come up with a plan to actually appeal to other airlines to come in. And I know we have a new one that is here now, but we need to appeal to others.
Thank you. Dr. Inman Johnson.
I think we need to look at what we're doing that isn't working and really look at airports where they are successful in attracting business, because it's not just the people who are flying in and out. You can't attract industry if they can't bring their folks in and they can't be assured that they can operate appropriately because of the transportation in and out of Tallahassee.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
Kudos to our airport staff and our city management. And every day, their goal is to attract additional airlines to come to Tallahassee, and Breeze Airway is on its way. And I'm understanding that they're also in negotiations with others. What we've done is put some incentives in place to attract airlines to come. It is very competitive. We don't set the prices for airline tickets. The competition between airlines set the prices for airline tickets. And so what we're trying to do is to help that competition by encouraging others to come and join us at the Tallahassee Airport.
All right, thank you. We're going to mess with our timekeepers a little and skip one section and flip it around here. So we're going to move on to one of the biggest votes this year. That, of course, was TMH. It was one of the most important votes in decades. The city voted to sell its stake in the community hospital to FSU after a contentious process. How do you see the transfer of assets and planned academic health center affecting our community, FSU, and TMH? Dr. Inman Johnson, we're going to start with you on this.
First of all, I was very opposed to the process used for doing that. A lot of the negotiations happened behind closed doors. The public had no idea what was going on with the negotiation to take one of our biggest public assets and turn it over to FSU. It was sold to FSU for peanuts, considering the amount that hospital is worth, its value, and without the appropriate appraisals required by the city. And it was sold before the city had kept its promise to negotiate the contract.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, same question.
I agree with you. It is the most historic thing that has occurred in the city of Tallahassee and perhaps in the state of Florida in decades. I am very proud to have been a part of making sure that that happened, because what we need here in North Florida is expanded access to health care. We need modern health care. Many of us have to travel to other places to receive the kind of health care that is specialized health care that's needed. Many rural communities around here do not even have access to a hospital or what have you. So this was an opportunity for the city of Tallahassee to transfer assets to FSU to generate FSU Health. Also, while maintaining the relationship with FAMU for students to be able to continue to do their clinicals there, in essence, FAMU Health. So I am very proud to have been a part of that.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Yeah, so I'm very disappointed in that sale of TMH, simply because of the process. A lawyer spoke about 17 documents not being completed. As far as expanded healthcare, FSU was already building a research center on the backside on the land of TMH. So I didn't understand, saw the significance in them selling it. And especially if you're against anti-DEI, then why would you sell it to FSU, who is under the Florida Board of Governors, who is anti-DEI? So there's an issue with me, and we don't know what programs that they may be cutting in reference to DEI.
Thank you. Looking back, should anything have been done differently to make the process less divisive? Diane Williams-Cox, you have 30 seconds.
Well, you want to play Monday morning quarterback. Any number of things could come into play, but when you're taking a whole year to walk through this thing and to be very transparent, then I believe we did what we could do at that moment in time to make sure that it was very clear. There were many who didn't even know that the city of Tallahassee owned any parts of TMH. So there was an educational process that was provided, and we slow walked it for a whole year. And as I've said many times, we can give birth in 9 months. Surely we should be able to complete a transaction in 1 year.
Tiffany Hill, same question.
Well, you cannot and you should not complete a transaction as big as a hospital in 1 year. There's a lot more go into it. That's why there's 17 documents that were still unsigned. That's why when you look on FSU's website, there is a certain document that was still in draft form when the public hearing was done. So it takes a little bit more time than just a year to really work out the nooks and crannies of that. Thank you.
Dot Inman Johnson, same question.
Up to 25% of our population lives in poverty. That hospital provided indigent health care. We don't have a contract that shows a commitment that FSU will continue that commitment. And I think there was no need to rush it. By the time the public knew this was happening, it had been in the works for a long time. And the mayor was driving it, and the mayor now has a hefty position.
Thank you. This is actually a question from a viewer on this topic, and it dovetails with what you were talking about there. Should the money being paid for the transfer of assets to the city go into city coffers or be earmarked for indigent care? 30 seconds, Tiffany Hill.
I feel like it should go into indigent care because we don't know what FSU is going to do. So I would say at the moment, I would earmark it for indigent care.
Donovan Johnson?
I think it should be earmarked for indigent care, but I feel that a lot more money should have been paid for that hospital that could have provided for the shortfall we are looking at now from what might happen from the legislature.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
There is a contract that covers indigent care to the extent that it is even greater than what was in there previously with the city. That indigent care will be provided for at a greater level than before.
Should the money be transferred to city coffers or be earmarked?
The money should be used in the city coffers to be used for city services for all residents.
Thank you. An optional follow. I'm not supposed to read that part. Much of FSU's investment in community health care is contingent upon appropriations from the legislature. Do you trust lawmakers to follow through on that? Diane Williams-Cox.
Do I trust lawmakers to follow through on that? That is not my job to trust lawmakers. It is FSU's job to go and get that funding. FSU has been successful in the past. That's why FSU Health has begun on the campus of Florida State, of TMH, because they went to the legislature previously and got funding to do that. So we're expecting they will be able to do the same thing.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Yes, I will leave that up to FSU to go and address that issue. But I will watch and make sure that the process, really is up to them. So I can agree with Commissioner
Inman Johnson.
Thank you.
I plan to monitor, watch, and make sure that FSU keeps its promise to find the money to help continue to support indigent health care in this community.
All right. One other sale also garnered headlines, and that was the Capital City Country Club. What is your opinion of the City Commission's decision to sell the golf course back to the Capital City Country Club, and how do you predict that will play out? We will start with you, Donna Inman Johnson.
First of all, the city had been giving freedom for the Capital City Country Club to use that golf course for $1 a year for decades, and it sold it to them for almost nothing. And now we find out that a development company is coming in and paying the country club millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to build on that site. Something should have been done to set aside the space where slave graves were found and memorialize that.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What is your opinion of the City Commission's decision to sell the golf course to the Capital City Country Club, and how do you predict that will play out?
Well, having received $69 for 69 years and only going to receive another $30 for the next 30 years, I believe that it was in the city's best interest to sell the land. The land, it was just the land. The city did not own the field house and pool or the tennis courts, and we were having to pay to maintain those grounds. And the cemeteries where we've determined that there were slaves, that has been memorialized and is still under city control.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Yeah, so another disappointment in reference to the selling of public assets. And from my understanding is that the Country City, Capital City Golf Club did not even have the money. Like, something happened with them getting the money, and that is the reason why they went to the investors to come in and pay money. And that is something that the residents have been fighting against. They did not want investors to come in and take over and make it and turn it into some small Mar-a-Lago. So it's very disappointing, and it's very disheartening to see that they were so quick to sell it to the Capital City Country Club, and versus them selling the hospital directly to TMH.
Thank you. All right, now we're jumping back to my esteemed colleague who's going to go on to affordable housing and development.
Yes, sir. This is obviously a hot button issue, one that you all three mentioned in your opening statements. And I want to read this fact here from the Tallahassee Board of Realtors. They report that from 2020 to 2025, bottom tier prices rose from about $147,000 to $210,000, and that's roughly a 43% increase. Rents, as you may know, have jumped as much as 30% since 2020 as well. And we're going to start with Diane Williams-Cox here. What specifically can you do to confront the affordable housing crisis? And you have 45 seconds for your answer.
Thank you. Affordable housing is our number 2 priority, right behind public safety. And what we've been doing is coming together collaboratively with the Community Redevelopment Agency, the City of Tallahassee, and the county to partner with providing funding for affordable housing, whether it's multifamily housing or communities. We work with the Tallahassee Lending Consortium to build homes for first-time home buyers. And so we are doing a number of things, innovative things, I believe, that will help us meet that need. We know that we have the need for additional affordable housing, and we are working to do those things that will bring more affordable housing to the city of Tallahassee.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, affordable housing, what can you do to address it?
Yes, so first we'll have to look at the real meaning of affordable housing. So affordable housing is a household that does not pay more than 30% of their gross income to include utilities. So, and I think that's where we are missing the mark here in Tallahassee. We actually need to follow, if someone is coming in and saying that they're going to build for affordable housing, we need to ensure that they understand what affordable housing is and hold them to their feet to the fire to make sure that they're doing that so that our residents here can afford to live and not be overburdened with rent.
Thank you. Donovan Johnson, what specifically can you do to address affordable housing?
The Schimberg Institute down in Gainesville identified years ago that the biggest crisis in Tallahassee for affordable housing is affordable rental housing for people who earn minimum wage and modest incomes. Nothing has been done to address that problem by the City Commission. When they talk about affordable housing, they're talking about workforce housing, housing for people at 80 to 140% of the median income. And the people who really need help with affordable housing are people at 50% and below the median income. And that's a place where the city ought to be, if that's their second priority, putting some incentives.
Thank you. And Tiffany Hill, I believe I've asked all three of you that question, correct? All right, so we're moving on to development now. Recent rezonings on Thomasville Road and elsewhere have sparked backlash over traffic as well as some clear cutting of trees. What's your threshold for saying no to future growth? You have 45 seconds for that question. We'll start with you, Tiffany Hill.
Okay, I missed the last part. It kind of threw me off a little bit. Can you repeat it?
What would you say is your threshold for saying no to future growth?
Well, the environment, I mean, if you're clear cutting and you're affecting our great canopy here in Tallahassee that people have grown to love, I think that is a big problem with me. We want to make sure that our beautiful city here stays unique as it is. And we want to ensure that people are just not coming here, not following our guidelines. So we have to set our bar pretty high when it comes to people coming here and building. So we want to make sure that that's clear because we want to protect our environment.
Thank you. Donovan Johnson, I'll repeat the question. What is your threshold for saying no to future growth?
The threshold should be to stop shredding the comprehensive plan that has been in place since the late 80s and early 90s that has elements that protect neighborhoods as well as elements that make it clear that developers can develop and earn profit. On Thomasville Road across from Walmart, the Cary Forest neighborhood, on one side where Walmart is, it's clear cut and developed to high commercial industrial uses. On the other side, it's buffered by trees because they front neighborhoods that don't want commercial development in their backyard or front yard. The city recently passed an ordinance that allows that development and clear cutting to go right across the street.
Thank you, Donovan Johnson. And Commissioner, your response to that question.
As a former member of the Planning Commission, we have a comp plan that we must follow. And that comp plan is updated. It's been updated within the past 30 years. And the comp plan that determines what growth should be. And as long as the city and the county continues to have a joint comp plan, we should follow that comp plan for growth. It was there to know that we wouldn't know everything that was going to occur. So my mark for saying no would be, as long as we follow the comp plan and we are environmentally friendly and growing smart, then we must allow our city to grow.
Thank you. One last question on development, and this will be Dottie Johnson, your question first. What is more important, preserving Tallahassee's natural character or accommodating growth demand, and how can you realistically accomplish both? And you have 30 seconds.
I think they're both important, but the thing we have to look at is we have an urban service area where most of our tax dollars are spent inside the city providing infrastructure. When we start doing voluntary annexations for large landowners that cause us to have to run infrastructure outside that urban service area to meet growth needs that won't be in place for years in the future, then we are not serving our population.
Thank you. Commissioner, your answer to that?
Could you repeat
Yes,
it?
I can repeat the choice. Preserving Tallahassee's natural character or accommodating growth demand, and how can you accomplish both?
The answer is yes, both. We must do both. We must continue to have the unique character that Tallahassee is known for. We're the capital city of the third largest state, but we also must grow, because if we don't grow, we die, and we cannot allow for that. And what we have to begin to do is to look at those areas where we can grow and to be environmentally friendly and safe in those areas where we can grow. We have to understand, too, that people own property. They have their private use of their property. And if they decide that they want to voluntarily consider annexation, we have a process for that where we can determine whether it is wise to do that or not.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll repeat the choice one more time for you, Tiffany Hill. Preserving Tallahassee's natural character or accommodating growth demand, what's more important to you, and can you accomplish both?
Well, I think that we can accomplish both. We don't want Tallahassee to end up being a concrete jungle. That's not what I want to see. I really want to have smart growth, sustainable, and also we want to prevent urban sprawl. And we don't want people clear cutting. We want to protect our aquifer. We want to really make sure that we have livable environment here. Our city is beautiful, so we want to keep it that way.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn to public safety now and crime, and for that, here's Danielle.
Great, thank you. And we will start with Dottie Johnson. So on the topic of crime, so far in 2026, 10 people have been killed and at least 23 have been injured in 27 shootings in our county, according to data collected by the Tallahassee Democrat. 9 of these shootings have happened in the last month. In 2021, the City Commission voted to allocate $1 million a year for 5 years to take on gun violence. Is this working, or what needs to change? 45 seconds. Dot will begin with you.
Well, it obviously isn't working as well as we would like. And a lot of it comes from poverty. People who live the poverty areas of our community is where a lot of this is happening. And if we don't do something to address jobs, to address needs of people, we will continue to see this situation, because it's not just a crime problem, it's a poverty problem.
Diane Williams-Cox, to you.
I listening to stats, I'm very familiar with that. All of this is not, we cannot blame all of this on one entity. Some of these are the results of pop-up parties and other things that we cannot control. Law enforcement are where they can be if someone calls and let them know where things are happening. We work with the Urban League and Status of Men and Boys, the Status of Women and Girls. We work with a number of nonprofits with that $1 million to help try to curtail crime. But we know it's like anything else. You can only do what you can do, and you can only do what you know. We need people to continue to let us know where these things are occurring so we can save lives. And also work with crime solvers who will help us find who did these things, and so that we can bring them to justice.
Tiffany Hill, 45 seconds.
Yes, thank you so much. So for me, I feel like we need to come up with a comprehensive crime prevention plan in Tallahassee that will involve all the stakeholders, to include the neighborhoods, the residents, everyone, to be proactive in preventing crime. So we need to set goals and objectives and really work with the police department, because they can't do it alone. They can't do it alone. So we're going to have to come together as a city and sit down with, even the young folks that are out here. We need to really hear their voices and just move forward with our plan.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about the environment now. And this question you'll have 45 seconds for, and we'll start with Commissioner Williams-Cox. And what is the biggest environmental issue facing Tallahassee and Leon County right now, and how can the commissioners help to solve it?
Well, we've adopted a plan for renewable energy to help us in that arena. We're also dealing with whenever there spillage. We are following the state guidelines to make sure that we clear up and clean up any sewage spillage. And we're identifying those areas that continue to need to be protected and make sure that those areas are protected by law, based on the laws that we have on our books and based on what we have in our comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill?
Yes, repeat that question again.
Sure. What would you say is your biggest environmental issue facing Tallahassee and Leon County right now, and what would your plan be to help fix it?
Yeah, so right now we have a climate crisis here. We have people that are when I go out into like areas of Jay Gaither, they're having a lot of flooding over there. So we need to figure out a plan to work with the communities to combat those issues that have been going on for a very long time. So those are the things that we really need to sit down and get out into the community and address certain issues, so that is one for me.
Thank you. And Donovan Johnson, 45 seconds for your biggest environmental concern.
The biggest environmental problem is that needs to be addressed is protecting our water bodies, our lakes, our aquifer, and also following the rules. The city has been cited numerous times on sewage spills. And I think until there is some real enforcement in that regard, they will not pay attention to doing what they are supposed to do. And the third is preserving our natural resources and not developing out to the state line and erasing that and causing the kind of flooding that we have in our community.
Thank you. And I do have a follow-up question on the issue of environment. This one, a topic that's in front of the City Commission right now, and this will be your question first, Tiffany Hill. Do you support the proposed annexation of more than 1,700 acres of Phipps land near Lake Jackson? And what specific criteria should guide your decision, particularly when it comes to environmental protection, infrastructure capacity, and long-term growth planning? Again, do you support that 1,700 acres of Phipps land near Lake Jackson, the annexation of that? And you have 30 seconds.
Okay, that was such a long question.
I know, I do apologize.
Can you please explain it?
Yes, there's currently in front of the City Commission right now a motion, I believe, that was put onto a public hearing. 1,700 acres of Phipps land currently in the county. There has been a petition from the landowner to add that into city limits and bring with it some of the support that the city would provide. Do you support that?
Well, I think it needs to be a little bit more discussion in reference to annexation.
Okay.
Yes.
Donovan Johnson, 30 seconds.
I was
for you.
astounded when the ordinance were introduced to annex so much property outside of the city limits as a voluntary annexation that is driving urban sprawl, driving the destruction of our natural resources, and transferring tax dollars to areas where that sprawl is instead of correcting the flooding and the problems we have with aging infrastructure inside the city limits.
Thank you. And Commissioner Williams-Cox, your answer in 30 seconds.
Because this is an issue that will come before the city commission, I will decline to answer that question. I will say that I am listening, and I will make that decision when the time comes, and I will follow the law.
All right, thank you so much. And I think we're going to turn it over now to a lightning round.
We are. It's lightning round time. These are fast-paced questions, some yes or no, one-sentence answers, and I will hold you to that by saying thank you very loudly. What is the program you are most proud of in the city of Tallahassee, and why, Diane Williams-Cox?
The Tempo program, because that program takes disconnected youth and turn them around and get them with GEDs and college degrees and get them back into the workforce.
Tiffany Hill.
That is a loaded question because the different programs are, I would say crime prevention program, yes.
Diane Johnson.
Our public safety programs, both fire and police, these people put their lives on the line every day
Thank you.
for our citizens.
If pulling out of the 287G agreement with ICE came up for a vote, would you vote for it, even if it put your seat in jeopardy with DeSantis? Inman Johnson.
I felt the city and county should have asked that mask be removed to even consider, even if DeSantis was pushing this on us.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
I think my record is clear on that. We've already taken a vote on that.
And how did you vote?
I voted no.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Well, you know, I fought for this country, and I will continue to fight for the citizens. So, yes, I will put my job on the line.
All right, this is a question from a viewer, and we're going to start with you, Tiffany Hill. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, how would you want to use it and why? One sentence.
I will look at the greatest need of the city and speak with the residents to see where that funding should go.
Inman Johnson.
Affordable housing and poverty reduction.
Diane Williams-Cox.
Job development.
Diane Williams-Cox, what is one promise you are making that you can make today that voters can hold you accountable for?
That I will continue to listen and follow the rules and regulations of the city of Tallahassee, the state of Florida, and represent them to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
I will provide a service that makes the people feel included. I will hold the city commissioner accountable, and I will provide common sense results.
Inman Johnson.
I will provide leadership to bring the commission together and look to providing services for all of our citizens and not special interests.
Thank you. Inman Johnson, who are you endorsing at the top of the local ticket in the mayor's race?
I have always supported Jeremy Matlow from the time he announced to run for city commission, and he has been an excellent commissioner, and I continue to support him.
Diane Williams-Cox.
I have not endorsed.
Would you like to endorse now?
No.
Okay. Tiffany Hill.
I have not endorsed it either, and I think everyone has potential.
All right. How will you vote, Tiffany Hill, in a straw poll on whether the city and county should explore consolidation and why?
How would I vote? I would actually have to just look more into that with have conversations with the county and with the residents, actually. So they're always going to be first.
Thank you. Inman Johnson.
In the past, I have not supported consolidation, but with the financial issues we're dealing with now, I think we need one combined local government to hold accountable and also reduce our costs.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
No to consolidation.
If voters vote yes, will you work to move it forward to a binding vote? Diane Williams-Cox.
If voters vote, I will do what voters ask.
Okay. Tiffany Hill.
The same.
Inman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, this is the nicest question of the forum, and it came from a viewer. What are two of your favorite places to spend time in Tallahassee? Dot Inman Johnson.
At arts events, as a former art teacher and artist, and our parks.
Thank you.
We have wonderful parks.
Diane Williams-Cox.
Cascades and Clayman Plaza.
Excellent. Tiffany Hill.
I love spending time with my family and with my dog. And I also like spending time in small local businesses. So I'm all over the place.
Thank you. All right, we're back to more regular time limits, and you go to the league.
Okay, so Diane Williams-Cox will begin with you on this question. The Leon County Commission recently advanced a one-year moratorium on large-scale data centers. Wakulla County voted to ban them entirely, and other neighboring counties are also enacting moratoriums. Meanwhile, the City Commission voted 3-2 to reject a moratorium, arguing existing land use laws already prevent them. Do you agree with the vote? Why or why not? 45 seconds.
I do agree with the vote. If it's not an allowable use based on our comp plan, like many other things are not allowable use, then it is redundant. It would take an act of Congress or an act of the commission to change that. So I was one of the three who voted against that.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill.
Well, I actually am disappointed that they did not offer a moratorium, because right now developers can find loopholes to be able to apply for a data center. With the moratorium, it prevents all of that. It stops everything in its tracks, and it gives the city commission time to come up with a comprehensive plan to add on to what is already there in reference to land use, and protect our aquifer. And data centers use a lot of water. They have the immense low frequencies, and they are just, and they pull off of utilities as well. So that's not good for the residents.
Thank you. Dot Inman Johnson, we'll wrap it up with you.
The question was, would I have supported it?
Do you agree with the Tallahassee City Commission 3-2 vote to reject a moratorium because our existing land use laws already prevent them? Do you agree?
I don't think we need a data center that is going to negatively impact our environment, which it would do, and also create cost for the citizens of the community.
Thank you.
All right, we've had a great civil conversation of the issues today. Some might say, though, during Tallahassee City Commission meetings, that's not always how it's displayed. The City Commission has sometimes been described as toxic and dysfunctional, and there's that intractable 3-2 divide on the City Commission that we've seen the past few years. This first question is for you, Tiffany Hill, and you have 45 seconds. What will break that intractable divide in your mind, and how will you bring back decorum? 2 meetings should you be elected.
Yes, thank you for that question. I feel like, with me being an Army veteran, and I've dealt with a lot of different personalities, I think that we need to really focus and remember civility and respect. And for me, Army Corps values are very important to me, and so I will do my best to see if we would be able to come to an understanding, whether it be bringing a mediator and have just a kumbaya, I might say, and work out our differences so that it is not shown in public.
Thank you.
You're
Dot
welcome.
Inman Johnson, in your opinion, what's caused that 3-2 split, and how could you fix it?
In the past, the City Commission used to have team building sessions annually, and I think they need to get back to that. But the big problem is the majority that's in power has the ability to correct that, because it's the people who hold the power who have the ability to be more open and bringing people together, not the people who are in the minority.
Thank you for that. And Commissioner Williams-Cox, your interpretation of those city meetings?
Thank you for that question. I don't have to interpret it. I'm there, full-time live stream. And there's a lot of focus on when the vote is 3-2. There are many times when we have 5-0 votes, but it doesn't make the news. So I think that there's a narrative that's being driven to continue to drive divisiveness. Those 3-2 votes are what keep the budget moving and keep programs operating in the city of Tallahassee. And if I would love and encourage my colleagues to all get on board and let's vote for the budget that you added to. Let's keep things moving for the city of Tallahassee. If we don't pass a balanced budget, then nonprofits don't get funded. If we don't pass a balanced budget, then a lot of other things do not happen. So unfortunately, some folks don't see the need to having a 5-0 vote. But that 3-2 vote is what keeps the train leaving the stations on time.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have two quick follow-ups on the topic of speakers at City Commission meetings. And Donovan Johnson, I'll start with you with this one. You'll have 15 seconds for a response. What is your position on the City Commission's 30-minute cap on public comment when it comes to items not on the agenda? And what, if any, would you change about that policy?
I oppose it. The City Commission should be willing to hear from all of its citizens. There have been times when I was on the commission when we were there till midnight listening to the voters on their concerns.
Thank you. Commissioner?
I am in agreement with the 30-minute because what we have become is a laughing stock to those who are watching our meetings. The meetings have gone much better lately. Everyone who comes to speak gets the opportunity to speak. Even the night that we agreed to do that, everyone who came to that meeting had a chance to speak.
Thank you. And Ms. Hill, your answer?
Yes, so I think that the 30 minutes is not enough time. I think that, we put ourselves in this position as public servants, so we should be able to sit and listen to all of the speakers that come before us.
All right. And Commissioner Williams-Cox, this will be you up first for this follow-up. Why do you think the unagendered speaker time has become so confrontational at times? Do you think it's the passion from the speakers? Is it politics at play? Do you have a thought on that in 15 seconds?
To be honest with you, I really don't know what has caused that. I believe in being passionate. Before I became a commissioner, I was in that audience and I was talking to the commissioners as well. So I get that. But there comes a time when you lose all decorum, and we've got to restore decorum to City Hall.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, your thoughts? Is it passion at play here?
Yes, I believe it's passion and it's frustration and it's people feeling like, maybe they missed that agenda item, right? And so they had to come in because they were working. So they're frustrated that they're not getting enough time to speak.
Okay. And Donovan Johnson, passion or politics when it comes to those speakers?
I think I agree with Tiffany that it's a frustration. The commission always talks about decorum, but they have the ability to drive decorum without putting down residents who try to have their concerns heard.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the city manager. The commission has hired an executive recruitment firm to begin the nationwide search for candidates for the next city manager job. Should the next city manager be selected and installed before the November elections or after the newly elected officials are installed? 30 seconds. Tiffany Hill, start us out.
I feel that they should wait until after the new commissioners are installed.
And why so?
Because you create your own culture. You are, the city commission that will make the decision on who they will select as a city commissioner. I think that it should fall on the people that are actually going to be holding those positions because you create that culture and that's it.
Donovan Johnson.
Good succession planning takes time. And I don't have the slightest idea why the city commission feel it has to rush in 2 months to fill a position that important and that has been that divisive in the community. If they really want to look out for the interests of the city, they will take the time to do it right.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
Thank you. We have a process in place for selecting appointed officials, and that process has been proven to work. And I believe that we should do our jobs until the end. We shouldn't sit and wait for someone else to come in to fix what we could have done. So I am in favor of this commission selecting the next city manager.
Thank you. Dot Inman Johnson, what letter grade would you give Reese Goad for his tenure and why? 30 seconds.
Being kind, I would give him a 2.
And why?
Because I feel he has not embodied the fact that he is the city manager for all of the citizens of the community, and that he answers to all 5 city commissioners. He acts as though he only answers to the mayor, Cox, and Richardson.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, same question.
You did say a letter grade, right?
Letter grade.
A, because I believe that he has taken into consideration all of the things that are necessary to address taking care of the city. He is the one who helps to drive the diversity, equity, and inclusion in our office. And so I would give him an A.
Tiffany Hill.
Well, he definitely will not get an A from me, considering that he is the person that is supposed to oversight. You know, he is the city manager. I've never seen him out in the communities. He always, at the city commission meetings, he's always addressing the mayor. So it's like everybody else is beneath him when he should be answering to each and every one of them. So I have an issue with that.
Thank you.
My grade would be a D.
All right. Who's next?
Fire fees. Let's move on to this topic. After a fight with the fire service fee, over the fire service fee, the city of Tallahassee voted to sever its firefighting service contract with the county. Is there any way out of this short of the county setting up its own fire department? And would that be beneficial to taxpayers and residents? Diane Williams-Cox, you have 45 seconds to start us off.
Because words matter. It was not a fight. It was a disagreement. And that, to me, that is a difference. And yes, it can be handled. It can be settled. All it takes is some additional conversation and understanding what the real issues are and take the politics out of it. What we did was we followed the recommendation of our fire chief, which there's only one fire chief in the city of Tallahassee. And we did what he asked us to do to support him. And we asked the county to do the same thing. After having some analysis done by a consultant that was hired by both parties. But be that as it may, yes, there's still time. The contract doesn't end until a couple of more years. So there's still time to do that.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, same question.
Well, I don't think that the fire service fee should be on the utility bill. I think that it should be removed. And I know that there is a active lawsuit in reference to the fire service fee. And I think that that is really needed if that's what it takes to get it off of there. But we also have to have a solution when we do remove it. So what are we going to do with it once it's gone? Are we going to put it on the annual, like an annual tax, property tax, and give people time to pay over the year? There's pros and cons either way.
Inman Johnson, is there any way out of this short of the county setting up their own fire department? And would that be beneficial to taxpayers and residents?
There is a way, electing Inman Johnson.
Okay.
Okay, and I have some good news and bad news. The good news is we are in the home stretch of questions. And the bad news is this next question has a bit of buildup to it, so just wanted to let you know ahead of time. Citing insufficient documentation, failure to meet program benchmarks, and questionable expenditures, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is requiring the city to pay $1.03 million from a grant awarded to remove lead-based paint from housing for low-income residents. While the city is appealing right now, should city leaders or the contractor bear any accountability for this? What needs to be done going forward? Again, does the city or the contractor bear any accountability for this? 45 seconds for this answer, and Tiffany Hill, will start with you.
Yes, they absolutely should be held responsible for that. Everyone that's involved with that, because it is a process when you're dealing with a HUD grant. The HUD grants specifically tell you what you can and cannot do. And it don't seem like they did what they were supposed to do in reference to that grant. There are a lot of families that are at risk right now because lead is toxic. And so if you hire someone that is not fully certified in the beginning, that is a big issue for me. And so I would want to look and investigate where the problem came from and follow that process all the way through and why it wasn't stopped immediately.
Thank you. Don Inman Johnson, while the city is appealing, should city leaders or the contractor bear some responsibility for this?
The city does bear responsibility. The city has a horrible procurement process that has allowed this to happen with the HUD grant, allowed the almost $2 million scam of our procurement dollars, paying an invoice that shouldn't have been paid, and all kinds of corrupt situations happening in city government. They need to have an independent inspector general who does his job and really researches what needs to change within the city structure.
Thank you. And Commissioner Williams-Cox, who do you see needs to bear some accountability for this and what needs to be done going forward on
The
this?
city is being accountable. What the city has done is filed a notice of appeal and provided, and you, the media, also have access to this, almost 9,000 pages of documentation to prove what was done for HUD's review. They're meeting with HUD to deal with this issue. So the city is being accountable to this issue.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about the joys of campaigning. According to campaign finance records, incumbent Diane Williams-Cox has raised $62,000 in this race, while challengers Tiffany Hill and Dot Inman Johnson have raised $11,000 and $14,000 respectively. What should voters take away from that? 30 seconds, starting with you, Tiffany Hill.
Voters should take away that money shouldn't make someone make a decision on who should be sitting in the seat. It should be listening to the candidates to find out exactly who they are and what they believe in and who they support. So you can look at a lot of the finance reports, and yes, you can see who is donating to those particular candidates. But at the same time, I suggest that the residents really get to know the candidates.
Thank you. Dot Inman Johnson.
I raised $14,000 plus after being in the race only 3 weeks. Diane Williams-Cox raised $62,000 in a year and a half. So that does not compute an importance based on money. We have 2 more months before the primary election, and people will be able to see how we match up.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox.
I don't see this as a money competition. I see this as that I'm the only person in the race with a record to run on that is a recent record that will show folks what it is that I've been doing for the city of Tallahassee and for the residents. And for those who agree with me, they are willing to make contributions so that I can continue to get the message out, to turn the voters out. The voters decide who will sit in this seat, not money.
Thank you. We have a picture in the Tallahassee Democrat archives of Diane Williams-Cox with her arm around Dot Inman Johnson when the Kleeman Plaza Park was named in her honor. For each of you, how is this race personal? And what's something you admire about your opponents? We'll start with you, Dot Inman Johnson.
I started out a big fan of Diane Williams-Cox. I was one of the people who convinced her to run. And she became a different person after she was elected. Not listening to the public, not doing the public's will, and that caused me concern. And she didn't even listen to the people who had helped her. So
And what's
I
something you
thank
admire?
her. I thank her for the park nomination, and I think my record deserves it.
Okay.
Because you can look
Thank you.
throughout this community and see the contributions I've made as city commissioner and
All right.
mayor.
Thank you very much, Diane Williams-Cox.
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. We have a picture in the Tallahassee Democrat archives of you with your arm around Dot Inman Johnson when the Kleeman Plaza Park was named in her honor. For each of you, how is this race personal? And what's something you admire about your opponents?
Well, this race is not personal between the two of us. This race is personal between me and the 205,000 residents that live in the city of Tallahassee. I promise to deliver results, and that's what I've been able to do. Now, I applaud the historical record of Ms. Dot Inman Johnson. I appreciate the service that she's given to this community. But in the past 8 years, I have been the one that has been providing not headlines, but solutions for the needs of the people of the city of Tallahassee, and would love to continue to do so.
Thank you, Dot Inman Johnson. Or, I'm sorry, Tiffany Hill.
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
Sure. We just want to know, is this race personal for you? And what's something that you admire about your opponents?
Well, this race is not personal. For me, it's all business, and it's all taking care of the residents here in Tallahassee. Even though I have not held a political seat, I have served my country, and I have also served the community as well. So I admire the fact that there are 3 black women that are actually running for office, and I believe that this is a historical moment for all 3 of us. I do have respect for each one of these ladies, but at the same time, I feel like I am a young and excellent.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to road safety.
This is our last question before
Okay.
closing arguments. Or last 2 questions. Go.
Diane Williams-Cox will begin with you. According to the state's crash dashboard, in 2026, Leon County has seen 122 crashes involving a pedestrian. 3 of them have been fatal. What can you do as a commissioner to prevent those numbers from rising? 45 seconds.
What we can do is to continue to develop and execute policy to provide safety. I sit on the Capital Regional Transportation Committee, just met on Monday, as a matter of fact, looking at safe streets and looking at traffic patterns and looking at the things that we can do to improve transportation in our city. So there are great plans that are being put in place to try to prevent those. I used to work in the safety office at the Department of Transportation, so I'm very, very aware of how this data is tracked. Using that data, we can help determine whether we need more crosswalks, whether we need more lighting, or what kinds of things we need to make sure. But the biggest problem is we have distracted drivers. And what we need to do, drivers, is we need to pay attention, put our phones down and pay attention, because the life you save not only may be your own, but the life of someone else.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, same question.
Okay, and repeat that question.
Sure. We have had many crashes involving pedestrians in Leon County. 3 of them have been fatal. And what can you do as a commissioner to prevent those numbers from rising? 45 seconds.
Well, I too will look at our traffic lights, the crossings, sidewalks, different things. See if we need to adjust the timing of the traffic lights. I still feel that we need to promote more in reference to people being safe, whether, cell phones, those headphones, where in some cases, they are, you can't hear if you listen to your music, and a lot of times folks get distracted. So I would really push for pedestrians and drivers alike to really put away those items while they are crossing.
Dot Inman Johnson.
I agree with Tiffany on not being distracted. Drivers and pedestrians walking with their phones and their heads down looking at phones. But I also think we need wider joint pedestrian and bike paths in our community and clearer signals for crossing the street. In downtown, there's a little voice that tells you when to stop and when to walk. And maybe we need to do that on some of our other streets with crossings.
Thank you. Tiffany Hill, we'll begin with this brief question for you. Tallahassee's school zone cameras, speed cameras, have issued more than 50,000 tickets, generating close to $5 million in fines so far. $100 from my own wallet as well. Do you support the program as it stands, and what changes, if any, would you make? 15 seconds.
I think that there is some pros and cons in reference to that. Those cameras being there, and I've been listening to a lot of the residents out there. They feel like it, with it being owned by like some private company or what have you, that is the issue.
Dotman Johnson, do you support the program as it stands, or what changes would you make?
I don't oppose the cameras because they help to keep people aware of not trying to run the light. But I do think that people have voiced some concerns that need to be looked at.
Thank you. Diane Williams-Cox, the topic is school zone speed cameras. Do you support the program as it stands, or how would you change it?
My record will reflect that I did vote for this, and I voted for it to make sure that our children are safe as they're going back and forth to school. I too have drive through there. I've not gotten a ticket, but I go so slow through there I can almost get out and walk beside my car. But if it's going to protect our children, I'm definitely in favor of them.
Thank you.
All right, everyone can exhale. We have closing arguments now. The questioning is over. This is 1 minute for each of you, a chance to speak directly to the voters. You can say anything you want. You can plug a website. However you want to spend that 1 minute. We're going to start left to right from where we're facing you. Tiffany Hill.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it. I am Tiffany Hill. I am a retired Army Gulf War veteran, and I am a native of Tallahassee, and I am running for Tallahassee City Commission, and I'm running because I love this city, and I love listening to the residents and being able to have a conversation and instill in them that I am here to provide service where they can be included and being accountable for any actions that I take or my fellow comrades may take. I also want to make sure that they know that I will be looking at every results with common sense and just an open mind to make a better decision moving forward. And my website is the letter T, the number 4, Tally, TALLY.com.
All right, thank you. Dotman Johnson, your 1 minute closing argument.
I'm Dotman Johnson, and I put my record up against Diane's anytime in public service, in volunteer, in work to make this community better, the quality of life better. I ask you for your vote on August 18th and in early voting, and my website is dotfortally.com.
Thank you. And Diane Williams-Cox, 1 minute for closing.
Thank you. You have given me the pleasure of serving you for the past 8 years. I hope that you will see that I'm worthy to continue for another 4 years. If that is what you believe, I encourage you to not only support my campaign, but to vote for me, to pray for me and my family. My husband and I raised our children here, and we want to continue to make this city the city that we know that she can be. We want to move Tallahassee forward together. And if you want to join us to do that, please do. You are welcome. We are very inclusive of your needs and your concerns. And as Dion would say, I ain't hard to find. You can find me at Diane Williams Cox at talgov.com for my work. And for my campaign, you may find me at www.dianewilliamscoxcampaign.com. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you to all of our candidates for joining us here today. And thank you for joining us at home. for joining the Capital Region News Collaborative and the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee for this program. A reminder, you can find a replay of this forum on our partners' YouTube pages as well as our websites. The recorded broadcast will also be aired 8th of July at 11 o'clock Eastern Time in the morning on WFSU 88.9 FM. So please do tell your friends about that.
Also, you can tell them that our next forum will take place tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. and feature the candidates for Circuit Judge Group 13. The candidates are Rashad Antoine Green and Jay Lee Marsh. We'll also be questioning the other city commission candidates, who I'm not going to name because there's too many of them. You can learn more about the upcoming forums and the collaborative at cfnf.org/CRNC.
And remember, to cast your ballot for these races, you must be a registered voter. The voter registration deadline for the primary is July 20th. Early voting begins August 8th and ends on the 16th. Primary election day takes place on August 18th. Many of our listeners have candidate signs in their yard. Once the elections are done, there will be 2 windows to recycle these signs. The first is from August 19th and runs to September 18th. There will be another after the general election in November. Just bring your signs to the specially marked dumpsters at the locations on your screen to keep them out of our local landfill.
And if you have any questions for any of our upcoming forums and the candidates, please email us at news@tallahassee.com. A special thank you to the amazing crew of WFSU and reinforcements from WFC-TV for making this possible. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
We are clear in the studio. Thank you all.
I'm freezing.
Fantastic. Could not tell it was the first time at all.
Great.
Thank you. Oh, I'm attached.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I would love to hear. Sure.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Taking a question, you're asking how would we vote? Right. When you know that we